Medgar Evers College is one of 11 four-year colleges in the City University system. Located in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, it takes its name from the late civil rights activist Medgar Evers, who was assassinated in Mississippi in 1963. And it was created with the mission of empowering and providing educational opportunities in the city's educationally underserved Black communities. The college celebrated its 50th anniversary last year, but it has just come off a tumultuous period that culminated in the ouster of its previous president. Is a college serving its mission, and what challenges does it face going forward? Here to discuss these issues is Patricia Ramsey, who just took over as the college's new president and who has her own vision of the college's future. Welcome.
Thank you.
Dr. Ramsey, tell me about who are the students who attend Medgar Evers? What's the breakdown in terms of race, gender, socioeconomic background?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Cheryl, to speak with you. Medgar Evers College is a predominantly Black institution as designated by Congress. And in order to be a predominantly Black institution, you have to have at least 40% of your students African American, and 50% of those students have to be low-income students, and we fall into that category. 76% of our students are from the borough of Brooklyn, and 82% of our students female. And so you see that we are serving a population that is one that really could benefit from having an institution in the community. We are also an emerging Hispanic serving institution as well. And so the specific demographics, I have shared with you some, but the specific demographics as far as the exact number of males, females, and of different cultures, I can't share at that time.
So Medgar Evers is clearly the Blackest of the CUNY colleges in terms of enrollment. For years, CUNY has been criticized for having few Black faculty relative to the percentage of students who are within the university. I think about 25% of the students CUNY-wide are Black, whereas only half of that are Black faculty members. Does Medgar Evers have the highest percentage of Black faculty compared to the other CUNY colleges?
Well, I can't really speak to the other CUNY colleges, but Medgar Evers has 67% of their faculty is Black.
That would be the highest percentage, definitely. So a lot of the racial diversity that CUNY likes to boast about really comes from the students and faculty at Medgar Evers, it seems. You attended two historically Black colleges, and you've been an administrator at two other historically Black colleges, and now you're president of a predominantly Black college. In your view, do colleges like these perform a special role in the country's higher education system?
Certainly, and one of the things that we like to say, and I really coined it from the president of Shaw University, who hired me in my first role as chief academic officer. And actually, I have been an administrator at 4 historically Black colleges or universities. And but the thing is, what we have discovered is that we take the students and we shape those students into who we would like them to become, and help them with their futures, help them to uplift their families. And so even today, historically Black colleges and universities graduate more students who go on to get professional degrees and PhDs than the other institutions in this country that may have a higher percentage of African American students. Yet we're the ones who are producing the greatest number of, especially in the STEM areas, the greatest number of folks who go on to get PhDs.
You've taken the reins at the college following a rather dramatic, I'm going to call it an uprising against the previous president, Rudy Crew, who resigned back in, I believe it was March. under pressure from faculty, students, and even from Medgar Evers' widow, Myrlie Evers. Can you just sort of briefly describe what that uprising was all about?
Well, actually, I can't because I wasn't involved with the college at the time. And also, one of the things that I have tried to focus on in my career is above the line behavior. And I talk about above the line behavior all the time. And so what I like to do is not to look at all of the negatives that happened and why it happened, but look at what is it that we can do working together to move the college forward. Because if we focus on the negative, folks will not have the opportunity to see the great things that we're happening, that's happening, because human nature is kind of like driving down the street and you see an accident and you have all of these rubberneckers. Well, human nature is going to move toward the negative. We are going to be focusing on the positive for Medgar Evers College, and we are going to look to change how people see us.
The college is facing some real challenges. However, I was talking to a longtime faculty member who said that the previous presidency, the previous administration, had created a culture of underachievement. I know that there's been a decline, a rather serious decline in enrollment over the last 8 years or so. The college is concerned about a low retention rate where 50% of the freshmen do not return for the spring semester, sort of revolving door situation, a graduation rate that's fairly low, underfunding, which is something that all of the city university schools are dealing with. So how would you describe, you've been there for a month, how would you describe the state of the college right now?
I would say that actually things are not as the picture may have been depicted in the public. Yes, we have challenges, and I knew that coming in as it relates to retention rates and graduation rates. Enrollment is not unique to Medgar Evers. Across the country, enrollment has been declining. However, one of the things that concerned me, as I shared with the committee when I interviewed, is that I saw that there were a number of students who were coming in, and then they were actually transferring out. They weren't leaving Medgar Evers and going home, but a number of them were transferring out. And so I said, we have to really get behind that and see what that is all about. Interestingly enough, a student said to me when I was interviewing, when I was talking about that, a student said, I know I probably shouldn't say this, but actually I was told go to Medgar Evers and do really well and then transfer to wherever you want to go. Well, that's one of the things that sometimes happens with institutions. However, what I have found from my experience in the past, because I've had that to happen at other schools too, the students will come back and say, you know, I really should have stayed here. Had I stayed here, I could have become that doctor that I wanted to become. And just listening at those stories yesterday during commencement, it was just so heartwarming. Although I was not here when these students actually went through their trials and graduate and to the point of graduation, but hearing those stories, to read last night an email from a student who started in a situation where she was on public assistance, and now she has finished Medgar Evers College with a degree in social work and has been accepted into Columbia to get a master's in social work. This is what these institutions are all about. We take students that may not have had the same advantages as others, and we nourish those students and we push those students, and they go on to do great things. And so what I would like us to do as a nation even is to focus on those things that we're doing that are good, rather than just focusing all the time on how bad something is. Because if we focus on something that's good and we continue to focus on the good, then after a while, we're gonna all be seeing, really, it's good.
You talk about Medgar Evers taking students basically where they are, and building on that potential and allowing them to rise both in the professions and economically. Um, Medgar Evers pretty much accepts all of the students who apply. I know the admission rate is at least over 90%, maybe even higher. Do you consider that a good thing, a bad thing? I guess what I'm asking is, do you want to, are you considering establishing some higher admissions requirement or some admissions requirement, or do you think it's okay where it is?
Well, actually, I think that that's also something that is not quite accurate, not based on what I read when I was doing research for the institution. And as you know, many institutions now have gone test optional.
Right.
Well, that started some years ago, and I saw what was happening. Because what happens a lot of times, if schools want to increase their diversity, they then will do things that will increase the number of students that they can actually attract. And so one of the things that they did was to go test optional, because it's no secret that the students of color don't do as well on those standardized tests. And a lot of it has to do with the test and who makes the test. And so anyway, I want to kind of put that to the side for a moment, but just think about the mission. See, sometimes we lose sight of mission. Medgar Evers College is a social justice mission institution. That college was actually established because of the community. That is the only college that I know of where African Americans got together and said, we want a college in our community. And they fought for years to make that happen. They started this in 1963, where you had these people from the Central Brooklyn community, and you had people like Shirley Chisholm as a part of that group that actually worked so hard, because at the time, the city university had about 2% African Americans across the entire system. And so they wanted a college in the community. The system, the city said, well, no, we don't want a college there. And then they were very persistent. And so then it was said, well, let's just give them a community college. The citizens said, no, we want a 4-year institution, because they knew that having a college in that community could help uplift the community. When I was doing my research, I saw that 40% of the people that live in Central Brooklyn have a high school diploma with 0 college. You and I know, according to the Department of Labor, for every degree you attain, you at least increase your family's income by $7,000. And so the college is there to help uplift the community. And the community and the college are just inextricably linked in Central Brooklyn.
Thank you for explaining that, because I had been, at least for a number of years, under the impression that Medgar Evers was a 2-year college and had later become a 4-year college. But you've explained that because of the sentiment of the people in the community, it has always been a 4-year college.
It has been a 4-year college. Now, what I'm understanding is that when the state of New York was in a financial crunch some years ago, then they removed the upper level from Medgar Evers, and it only had the associate degrees. However, the citizens fought to get it back, and so you had citizens such as who now is a citizen, but at that time was in the legislature, such as Mr. Van, who worked diligently to get the funding back for Medgar Evers, and so that was under President Edison Jackson, and so they returned to their 4-year status. Okay. And yes, you're right, because I still hear people when I was a part of the Brooklyn presidential debate the other week, I heard one of the candidates say something about Medgar Evers being a community college, but it was never designed as that.
You've been in office for 1 month now. Tell me what you've been doing in that period and some of the observations you've made, and has anything surprised you?
Um, during that period, I have been very busy. I guess you can imagine being the first of anything, it brings a lot of attention. And so being the first female, and I'm the first scientist that the institution has had, the dean of the School of Science, Health, and Technology, makes sure everybody knows. Well, and she's also the first scientist. But a lot of meetings, a lot of listening, and a lot of opportunities as well to meet with people on the outside. I've met with elected officials. I've served as one of the community organizations that was invited to ask a question at the presidential debate for the Brooklyn Borough President. Interviews with folks such as I've done with you. So that the calendar has been very, very full, and I've had very, very long days.
Has anything surprised you? Have you learned anything that surprised you?
Well, one of the things, when you read so much in the paper about a place, or you or in the media about a place, and then you read all of the information that is put out by the institution, you get to know that just based on what you see in writing. It's not until you actually get involved with the people that you see that things are not necessarily the same as what they have been depicted. And so I am just so excited about the people that I have met, the students in particular, so excited about those students because I had an opportunity to meet with them on campus. One of the things that you said, something that I didn't know about that that's new for me, the pantry, the food pantry, the fact that we have a transition academy, as it is called, where students who have housing instability, housing insecurity, food insecurity are able to come and have those needs met. But we are the only institution in Brooklyn that actually uses our resources to also help feed the community. So once a month, we are actually doing food pantry for the community as well. And so these are things that you don't see written anywhere, but it's just exciting to be a part of it. And I am just pleased that I am the president of Medgar Evers College.
We talked about the fact that more than 80% of your students are female. Is that a matter of concern for you, that ratio, or is that a good thing?
Well, actually, Medgar Evers has always been a predominantly female institution. And as you look at institutions across the country, you have large numbers of females at those institutions, unless the institution started as a male institution. Because as you know, some institutions, or many institutions, did start as male institutions. Medgar Evers did not. And many of the people who were in the community that were really fighting to get the institution established there were female. You had even Dr. Ona Clark, who was on our board of trustees for the CUNY system, was a part of that group. Miss Ella Cease. And I mean, her story, when I read about that, was just amazing to me, because this lady wrote Governor Rockefeller every Friday for years about establishing a college in Central Brooklyn. And so women have had a real instrumental role in the beginnings of that school. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that we have a larger percentage of females.
Still on the gender issue, I guess because there is a lot of concern about moving along Black males. One thing you heard a lot about some years ago was when the college started what it called a Black Male Initiative, which was, I gather, a mentoring program for the Black male students at the college. Is that program still in operation, and do you know how that is doing?
The Black male program, yes, it is still in operation, and we want to enhance that even more. And you may say, well, she just started talking about the female. But yes, across the nation at historically Black institutions, many of those institutions have put in male initiative programs as well. Because as you know, young Black males are very much targeted in the society. And so we try to put into their, starting very young, we try to put with them males that can be role models and people that they can speak with, that can help them to even grow up, if you will, understanding what it's like to be an African American male in this country. Because as you know, we have a number of households that are headed by women. And so that initiative is something that is in place. We are going to enhance it. I've just been able to bring in a young man who is the Senior Vice President for Student Success, who has a lot of experience with doing male initiative programs as well. And so we want to uplift all of our students. And for students of color, it's just that things have not always been in this nation the most positive for them. And so anything that we can do to enhance and uplift, that's what we're gonna do.
What are your priorities going forward? Do you have a bucket list?
Well, the concern, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, the concern that I have is our students being able to stay in school and persist to graduation, and focusing on 4 years, not 6, 4 years. Because the whole idea of the 6 years actually has come out of the fact that the U.S. Department of Education allows students to be in school for 6 years on federal financial aid. And so therefore, that was translated as 12 credits a semester. Well, you know that if you take 12 credits, then it's impossible to graduate in 4 years. We are going to focus on changing that whole idea of you take 12 credits so you can get full aid. No, we want you to take as many credits as you can, depending on a number of things. One, if you work more than 20 hours a week, then it's not a good idea to take a lot of credits, because going to school full-time is like a full-time job. And so the human body just doesn't allow but so many jobs without that body then being jeopardized for health problems. But getting our graduation rates up really is going to be dependent on our retention rates improving. And so right now we're focusing on that piece. And in 4 years from now, we're hoping to see a change as it relates to graduation rates, because you know it takes that long in order for you to be able to see that result.
I was interested to learn that even though Medgar Evers' student body is overwhelmingly Black, that the college has no Black Studies program. Is that something that's a concern for you?
Well, actually, I don't know about the word concern, because one of the things that with any institution, according to accreditation guidelines, curriculum comes out of the faculty. And so the faculty has to develop that curriculum that is going to be accepted by the system as it relates to it not competing with another program in the system. Because if you are a citizen in New York City, your tax dollars going to education, you don't want all that duplication of programs. And so I haven't been presented with a program by the faculty at this time. And because one of the things I would want to see is, well, how is our program unique as it relates to attracting people that would go elsewhere for a program, but what is the caveat that we have that would attract students to our program? But just keep in mind, curriculum comes from faculty.
What do you have to say to people who may be in the Central Brooklyn community, who may be thinking about college, but may not have thought about Medgar Evers? What would you want to say to them?
I would say to them that if they come to Medgar Evers College, just know that they have in Medgar Evers College a college of people who cares about their success. And as president of the institution, I personally care about each student's success. And if a student were to contact me with a concern, that concern is not going to go unnoticed. And that's the one thing I have heard students say over and over, because the student that I shared with you a little earlier that said that that she was told to come to Medgar Evers and transfer, she said, I didn't transfer because when I came here, I felt a sense of family. I had support, and that support is what helped to keep her there. And so what we want to do is to put more support pieces in place for our students, as we are already beginning to do at this time.
What do you want people who are watching this show to know about Medgar Evers?
Medgar Evers College is an outstanding institution. It has social justice in its DNA. And so when the pandemic hit, what I thought about was an institution like Medgar Evers College could become a role model for this nation as to how to approach social justice issues, in that we not only look at the criminal justice system, but we look at the health system. And the coronavirus actually helped us to see how the disparities actually exist. And so be on the lookout for something real great in the future. It's an announcement that I cannot share here right now, but something really big is about to happen as it relates to health equity for the city of New York.
Okay, we'll be listening. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I'd like to thank Patricia Ramsey, president of Medgar Evers College, for joining me today. To learn about our upcoming shows, be sure to follow us on Twitter at One2One CUNY TV. For the City University of New York and One2One, I'm Cheryl McCarthy.